soon as I got Mary's telegram. Good idea, Ernie. A toast. To my big brother, George, the richest man in town.
A Christmas movie could be about community, sacrifice, and a man standing on a bridge ready to end his life and still turn into a holiday classic? It's a Wonderful Life came to theaters in 1946, an RKO release directed by Frank Capra, starring James Stewart as George Bailey, Donna Reed as Mary, Lionel Barrymore as the wonderfully hateful Mr. Potter, and Henry Travers as Clarence, the angel who needs an entire movie to earn his wings. A small-town banker gets beaten down by life, almost jumps off a bridge on Christmas Eve, and then is shown what his town would look like if he never existed. Spoiler alert, Potterville is not a nice place to visit. It's the movie that failed in theaters, disappeared for many years, then came back strong to become the most loved Christmas movie ever made. But behind that warm and cozy feeling is a surprising, messy, and sometimes totally wild production history. So grab your hot cocoa, or maybe something a little stronger, George Bailey style, because here are 15 weird facts about It's a Wonderful Life. Before we start, hit that like and subscribe button for more deep dive like this. Let's start with number 1. The Bedford Falls set helped Stewart find his way back to acting. When James Stewart came back after serving as a combat pilot in World War II, he was no longer the confident everyman audiences remembered. He had been away from Hollywood for 5 years, long enough to feel out of sync with the industry, and he quietly worried that he might not have the emotional range to act anymore. He walked onto It's a Wonderful Life carrying real doubt. Some of his first scenes made him feel rusty, disconnected, and even afraid that his career might already be over. But then came Bedford Falls.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bailey.
Hello, Violet. Hey, you look good. That's some dress you got on there.
The moment Stewart stepped onto the large town set, complete with real streets, working shops, and corners that felt lived in, something changed. The place did not feel like a fake Hollywood set. It felt like a real community, the kind George Bailey would have loved and protected. Stewart began reacting to the town in a natural way, and that helped steady him in a way the script by itself never could.
Just remember this, Mr. Potter, that this rabble you're talking about, they do most of the working and paying and living and dying in this community.
That authenticity helped him feel comfortable acting again. From there, Stewart gave one of the most emotionally open performances of his career. For a man who was unsure if he still belonged in front of a camera, Bedford Falls became an unexpected lifeline, a made-up place that gave him the courage to keep moving forward. Number 2. Capra used Stewart's real emotional breakdown. One of the most powerful scenes in It's a Wonderful Life is not really acting at all. It is James Stewart falling apart for real.
I'm not a praying man, but if you're up there and you can hear me, show me the way.
When George Bailey sits alone at Martini's bar and prays for help, Stewart was not just pretending to be overwhelmed. He was still trying to adjust to normal life after years of flying combat missions, and the emotional stress was still there. It was not something he spoke about in public, but people who worked with him said he carried a quiet sadness during filming. When the camera started rolling, all of that weight came out. His shaking voice, the way he grabs the bar like he is holding on to stay alive, and the tears that fall before he can stop them were not planned. None of it was written in the script.
Merry Christmas! Glad you come. How about some of that good spaghetti? We got everything.
Stewart later said he could hardly remember performing that moment at all. Capra realized right away what was happening, and instead of calling cut, he pulled back and let the scene continue. He knew that whatever Stewart was tapping into, it was real, and real emotion was exactly what the movie needed. Many years later, actors still study that scene because it does not feel like acting. It feels like a real person breaking down and reaching for something, anything to hold on to. It became the emotional heart of the entire film, captured in one single take that no amount of directing could ever have forced.
Number 3. The movie was a box office flop. Now, here's a fun holiday fact.
The movie your family makes you watch every December while Grandma pries into her eggnog was a complete failure at first. We are talking about a money-losing, studio-hurting disaster. In 1946, Frank Capra released this big, emotional, small-town story starring James Stewart, fresh back from military service, and audiences mostly did not care. They thought it was too sentimental and too cheesy. The inspirational classic that now turns grown viewers into crying messes was once mocked. Critics called it old-fashioned, and it also cost a lot of money to make.
That's a great film. I love that film. It's my favorite film. And in a sense, it epitomizes everything I've been trying to do and trying to say in the other films, only does it very dramatically with a very unique story.
Capra's brand new production company, Liberty Films, spent about $3.7 million on it, which was a huge amount of money back then. The movie didn't even make back its budget. It lost around $525,000, which helped sink Liberty faster than Mr. Potter could save foreclosure. The timing was also bad. After the war, audiences wanted grit and realism. Movies like The Best Years of Our Lives told stories about soldiers struggling to adjust to civilian life. Capra's warm and fuzzy story about community and finding joy in small things, well, many people thought it didn't match the country's mood at the time.
What do you mean it's gonna snow? Look at the headline there. President
I know, George, and it's marvelous. Commander Harry Bailey.
But here's the thing. The movie that failed in 1946 later became a Hollywood classic. It turns out audiences just needed a few decades and lots of TV reruns to see that it was a masterpiece. Number 4. A clerical error turned it into a Christmas staple. You know how It's a Wonderful Life is on TV every December, sometimes twice a day like it's required by law? Well, that only happened because someone forgot to file the right paperwork. In 1974, Republic Pictures let the film's copyright expire after the first 28-year term ended.
It was on a shelf for 20 years, and then they didn't renew the copyright, so it became public domain. And that meant every little television station across America could show it.
No licensing fees, no royalties, no angry studio lawyers popping out of chimneys. Local TV stations grabbed it, cable networks grabbed it, and because it cost nothing to show, they played it all the time, late nights through the 70s and 80s, over and over, year after year, until watching it became as much a holiday tradition as untangling lights or pretending fruitcake is tasty. That non-stop airing is what turned a forgotten box office failure into America's favorite Christmas movie. Then, in 1993, the rights were finally fixed and locked down, which is why you mostly see it on NBC today. But by then, it was too late. One missing form accidentally created the most iconic holiday movie in the country. Bureaucracy giveth and bureaucracy taketh away. Number 5. The FBI thought the movie was communist propaganda. If you've ever watched It's a Wonderful Life and thought, you know what, this feels like dangerous, subversive propaganda, then congratulations, you and J. Edgar Hoover would have gotten along great. In 1947, the FBI believed communists had sneaked into Hollywood and were putting radical messages into movies. Somehow, this film ended up on their radar. The problem? Mr. Potter, the greedy, ruthless, money-hoarding banker.
You see, if you shoot pool with some employee here, you can come and borrow money. What does that get us? A discontented, lazy rabble instead of a thrifty working class.
According to the FBI, making the villain a rich capitalist was a common trick used by communists to stir up class anger. George Bailey's whole story was seen as an obvious attempt to discredit bankers. We're talking about the same movie where an angel earns his wings by helping a man appreciate his life. Apparently, that's how revolutions start. The House Un-American Activities Committee looked at the memo, shrugged, and moved on. It turned out the film wasn't a secret manifesto, just a story where the rich guy is a jerk and the small-town hero has a good heart. But only in the late 40s could a Christmas movie about community and gratitude be seen as a threat to the American way. Number 6. Bedford Falls was one of the biggest sets ever built. Bedford Falls feels so real, you'd think you've actually been there. You've walked down that snowy main street, waved at a neighbor, maybe even stopped by Gower's drugstore. And really, the set was almost like a real working town. RKO built Bedford Falls on a 4-acre lot at their Encino Ranch, and they didn't hold back. We're talking 75 buildings, a 300-yard main street, residential neighborhoods, a factory area, and 20 full-grown oak trees that were dug up and moved just for the movie. That's not just set design, it's basically city planning. The town looked so real that people kept asking Capra which real town he copied. Over the years, fans settled on Seneca Falls, New York.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Seneca Falls!
The town is believed to have inspired the movie's Bedford Falls.
A little upstate town with a canal, a central bridge that looks very familiar, and the same cozy small town layout. The resemblance was strong enough that Seneca Falls eventually said, "Yeah, that's us," and they built a whole museum around the connection. Capra always denied it. Bedford Falls was meant to be generic, any town, USA, no specific inspiration. But the bridge matches, the storefronts match, the whole feeling matches. Whether he meant it or not, somewhere in upstate New York, there's a town that has been using that coincidence to its advantage for decades. You can't blame him. If Hollywood accidentally builds your main street, you put up a plaque.
Number 7. The high school pool was real, and so was the chaos. Remember the high school dance where everyone ends up in the pool? The Charleston contest, the floor breaking apart, George and Mary flailing around in their fancy clothes while the whole gym goes crazy? None of that was fake.
The pool was real, the floor was real, and those teenagers were definitely real too. Capra filmed the scene at Beverly Hills High School, home of the famous swim gym. It was a fully working gym with a swimming pool hidden under a retractable floor. Flip a switch, slide the panels back, and suddenly you have an indoor lake where the basketball court used to be. Only in Beverly Hills.
Did you know there's a swimming pool under this floor? And did you know that button behind you causes this floor to open up?
And here's where it gets even better. Capra didn't fill the gym with polished studio extras who knew their marks. He packed the place with real local kids, hundreds of them. The whole scene has a chaotic, happy energy that you just can't fake. Capra basically threw a bunch of teenagers into a pool and pointed a camera at them. Number 8. Uncle Billy's crash and Donna Reed's arm were both accidents. Two of the most memorable moments in It's a Wonderful Life look like carefully planned movie magic. Spoiler alert, they weren't. Both were complete accidents that Capra was smart enough to keep. First, Uncle Billy's drunken exit. You know the scene. He shuffles off camera, and suddenly there's a clatter, a crash, glass breaking, and Billy yelling, "I'm all right." Perfect slapstick timing.
My wild Irish road. I'm all right. The sweetest.
Except a crew member had actually dropped a bunch of equipment off screen. A complete accident. But Capra immediately shouted, "Keep it!" Because honestly, what sounds more like Uncle Billy after a few holiday cocktails than random destruction? They polished the audio a bit, but that chaos was real. Now for Donna Reed. During the rock-throwing scene at the old Granville house, production hired a real marksman, a professional sharpshooter, to break the window on cue. The assumption was that actresses couldn't throw. Reed wound up, threw the rock, and shattered the window on her very first try.
Hey, that's pretty good.
The marksman didn't even get his rifle up. Capra loved it so much that he used Donna Reed's take. So there you have it. One iconic moment caused by a clumsy grip, and the other by an actress who apparently had a secret baseball career. Now, if you're enjoying this trip through Bedford Falls, do us a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with a friend who still cries the second Auld Lang Syne starts playing. No judgment, we've all been there. All right, now let's get back to the countdown with number 9. The phone scene was so intense, they only shot it once. One of the most romantic moments in It's a Wonderful Life doesn't need candlelight or violins. It's two people awkwardly sharing a telephone receiver while trying really hard not to kiss. And they only filmed it one time. You know the scene. George and Mary are squeezed together, talking to Sam Wainwright on the phone.
We can both hear. Come here. We're listening, Sam.
Well, look,
I have a big deal coming up that's gonna make us all rich.
Stewart and Reed are inches apart, barely breathing, their voices cracking. You're watching two people physically fighting the urge to drop all pretense and just go for it. Capra saw what was happening and did the smartest thing a director can do. Absolutely nothing. No second angle, no safety take, no let's try that again with more energy. He just let the camera roll and stayed out of the way.
Now you listen to me. I don't want any plastics, I don't want any ground floors, and I don't want to get married ever to anyone. You understand that?
The whole sequence, from the awkward sharing of the receiver to the moment George finally snaps and kisses Mary like he's been holding it in for 10 years, was the first and only take. Capra knew that if he called cut, whatever was happening between them would disappear. You don't get that back, so he didn't risk it. It turns out the secret to filming one of Hollywood's most electric love scenes is knowing when to stay quiet and let your actors do the work. Number 10. Zuzu didn't see the movie until she was 40. Most of us grew up with It's a Wonderful Life playing in the background every December, but the little girl who delivered one of the movie's most famous lines had no idea the film even mattered.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right.
Carolyn Grimes played Zuzu Bailey, the kid with the pedals, the every time a bell rings moment, the whole thing. But when the movie flopped in 1946, it disappeared. No reruns, no holiday tradition, no yearly reminder that she had been in something special. The film basically got put in a drawer and forgotten. So Grimes grew up, moved on, and never thought much about it. Then the late 70s came. The copyright expired, TV stations started showing It's a Wonderful Life non-stop, and suddenly the movie was everywhere. That's when Grimes finally sat down and watched it. She was around 40, the first time she had ever seen the whole thing.
I have to admit that I actually sat down and I watched the movie when I was 40 years old. First time I ever saw it.
Let that satisfying irony sink in. Millions of families had been crying over her performance every Christmas for years, and she never knew it. Once the film became a full-blown cultural phenomenon, Grimes got pulled back into its world. Festival appearances, reunion screenings, fans quoting her lines back to her. She became the official keeper of Zuzu's pedals, whether she signed up for it or not. Not a bad job for a movie she had forgotten she was in. Number 11. The Martini family represented a touchy subject for 1940s audiences. When George Bailey proudly hands the keys to a new home to the Martini family, we see a moment of generosity and community today. But in 1946, that scene touched on a topic Hollywood rarely addressed. Showing immigrant families in a positive, hopeful way wasn't common in mainstream films back then. Studios usually avoided topics like class mobility, ethnic identity, and changing neighborhoods, subjects seen as sensitive or even taboo in polite conversation. Capra went the other way. He showed the Martinis as decent, hard-working people building a better life, and he made George their ally.
Mr. and Mrs. Martini, welcome home.
Good old George, he's always making a speech.
Enter the Martini Castle.
It wasn't meant to stir up outrage, but it was definitely ahead of its time. There's no proof that theaters refused to show the film because of this subplot, but the idea stuck because the scene represented something quietly bold. Optimism that included everyone, not just the comfortable middle class. If anything, that forward-looking compassion is part of why the movie still connects with audiences today. Number 12. The movie started as a Christmas card. The film that basically is Christmas for millions of families actually began as a short story nobody wanted to publish. In 1939, author Philip Van Doren Stern wrote a little tale called The Greatest Gift, a fantasy about a man who gets to see what life would be like if he'd never existed. He shopped it around to publishers, got rejected, tried again, and got rejected again. For 4 years, nobody wanted it. So in 1943, Stern did what any determined writer might do. He gave up on traditional publishing, printed 200 copies himself, and mailed them out as Christmas cards. Imagine opening your holiday mail expecting a snowman or a wreath, and instead getting a 21-page illustrated existential crisis. Merry Christmas, here's some mortality. But that strange little card made its way to Hollywood. A producer read it, saw its potential, and bought the rights for $10,000, which was a lot of money at the time. RKO purchased it next, and it bounced around until Capra got his hands on it. The rest is cinematic history. So the movie that now defines the holiday season started as a DIY pamphlet stuffed into envelopes because no publisher would return Stern's calls. Sometimes the best path to immortality is just refusing to take no for an answer and having a really good mailing list. Number 13. It's ranked among the most inspirational films ever made. For a movie that famously flopped in 1946, It's a Wonderful Life didn't just recover over time. It shot to the top of nearly every greatest movie list out there. Today, it's consistently ranked among the top 5 Christmas movies ever made, right alongside the most beloved holiday classics. But the praise doesn't stop there. The American Film Institute named it the #1 most inspirational American film of all time, above Rocky, Schindler's List, To Kill a Mockingbird, and dozens of other cultural icons. According to AFI, no movie captures the spirit of hope, community, and personal redemption quite like George Bailey's story.
There's the kitty, Ernie. Here, come on, count it, Mary.
Oh, I feel like a bootlegger's wife. Look!
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna shoot the works. A whole week in New York, a whole week in Bermuda, the highest hotels, the oldest champagne, the richest caviar, the hottest music, and the prettiest wife.
It's a rare case where a film's legacy didn't just outgrow its box office failure, it completely changed it. A movie once called too sentimental is now seen as one of the most uplifting stories ever told on screen. Not bad for a Christmas tale that almost vanished into obscurity. Number 14. The movie is way darker than you remember. We all think of It's a Wonderful Life as cozy holiday comfort, eggnog, carols, and an angel earning his wings. But watch it again as an adult. This movie is actually very dark. Take away the Christmas decorations, and the story is about a man standing on a bridge ready to end his life, believing the world would be better without him. George Bailey spends most of the film crushed by postponed dreams, growing debt, guilt, and the weight of an entire town depending on him. He's exhausted, he's bitter, he snaps at his kid. This is not a light, feel-good story, and the darkness isn't just in the script. George's frustration about staying home while his brother went off to serve echoes Stewart's own struggles returning from combat missions and trying to adjust. The film also doesn't avoid issues like alcoholism, Mr. Gower's near tragedy, Uncle Billy's constant drinking, poverty, or what happens when someone reaches the very end of their rope. Most Christmas movies wouldn't touch any of this. Capra built an entire film around it. That's why the ending works. The joy, the neighbors showing up, the no man is a failure who has friends moment, none of it would feel real if we hadn't seen George hit rock bottom first. You can't fake earned redemption, and this movie doesn't try. So yes, it's a holiday classic, but it's also a brutally honest look at a man who almost didn't make it. Merry Christmas. Number 15. The cast's tears were real, especially Stewart's after everything he had been through. The massive sets, the practical effects, the one-take magic, none of that compares. The most powerful moment in It's a Wonderful Life isn't something the crew built or Capra planned. It's the tears, and they were completely real.
My mouth's bleeding, Bert! My mouth's bleeding! Zuzu's pedals! Zuzu! There they are!
The final scene. George bursts through his front door expecting disaster. Instead, he finds his whole town crammed into his living room, emptying their pockets to help him. Mary is there, the kids are there. It's the emotional payoff for 2 hours of watching this man get completely crushed by life. And the cast, they weren't acting. The joy, the relief, the overwhelming sense of we made it. It hit the actors the same way it hits audiences every December. Capra just kept the cameras rolling because he knew he'd never get a second take that raw. He used every frame, understanding that no amount of directing could improve what was already happening. 70+ years later, that scene still hits people hard, not because of the writing, the blocking, or the music swelling at the right moment, but because it's real, and you can tell. And there you have it, 15 weird facts about It's a Wonderful Life that prove even the most heartwarming holiday classic has a surprisingly dark, chaotic, and occasionally FBI-investigated backstory. Which fact surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this one, hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help us keep these videos coming every week. Until next time.